What's going on, everyone?
Yo, what's up?
This is video number 2, talking about the official PlayStation magazine in the UK and some new information that we got from the articles. And we have a couple things here on the docket.
Yeah, so this video is going to focus more on kind of like the game mechanics and gameplay-esque announcements that were in the magazine.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and the big thing and the, individual that's going to be on the front of this magazine is Nemesis.
Oh, yeah.
And the improved AI.
The Pursuer.
That was used for Tyrant and RE2 Remake is going to be returning, which is something that we talked about before, which is how they're going to implement, how persistent he is. The AI of Mr. X, we did kind of see how Nemesis could be portrayed in this way of chasing Jill and stuff like that.
Yep.
So we expect him to open doors or knocking down doors.
Yep.
Knocking enemies out of the way. Will he teleport?
Will he teleport?
These are all things that are up in the air, but how they're going to handle it, we still don't know, how he's going to track you down, what devices he's using. They didn't really elaborate in the magazine article. Why would they? They don't want to give away everything.
Yeah.
But they seem to be hinting towards another kind of more updated Nemesis system than what we've had before, but way more persistent than Mr. X.
Yeah, so Mr. X,
2.
they kind of describe it as like his AI that was designed is improved upon to have a greater AI. So they kind of took what Mr. X was and the Tyrant was and made him more scary. And that's where Nemesis's AI is going to come into play. But just like you hit the nail on the head, just is he going to open doors still? Is he going to knock the doors down? Is he going to yeet enemies out of the way? Will he be teleporting around like Mr. X? Because Mr. X is guilty of teleporting.
And we know he's going to be using a big, a majority of the of his arsenal, whether it being
Yes.
his rocket launcher, flamethrower, or multiple other things that we haven't seen yet in potential trailers to be seen shortly. But all of that makes sense because he has to be a threat. And how are they going to utilize him in this new system, in this new area with the RE engine? Because it's a whole new playground now where they can really do a lot more with the environments. And if the environments are semi-open, kind of like what we talked about in the last video,
Yeah.
with them being a little bit more open, that gives Nemesis more space. Mr. X obviously was chasing you down kind of outside and inside in close quarters in the police station. So we'll probably see more of the police station chasing, but seeing how they utilize him in the city and how you're going to have to use sound design to kind of help engage him where he is, or if engage him at all if you decide to run. This seems like a headphones game to where you're going to have to know where Nemesis is.
Yeah, for sure.
With Mr. X, it was just footsteps, but now it's like, no, you actually really have to listen out for Nemesis. That's the vibe that I'm getting with how his AI has improved and kind of what we're getting inside the game.
Yeah, I mean, they do say that sound will be very important. And, in Remake 2, it was the opening of doors and the footsteps that you heard. Now, my hope is that they improve upon that. We've been running into some issues with the audio in Remake 2 recently, which the channels aren't lining up properly. Hopefully they get all that
cutting
fixed
out.
Yeah, stuff's cutting out. The surround sound with the true surround sound system or with headphones, the game is incredible though, especially with headphones. Have you played it Remake 2 with headphones? It's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
We'll definitely have headphones on when we play the game in April,
especially with our new audio setup.
Yeah, for
we'll
sure.
have headphones on.
We want to be able to play it and experience everything together, which is cool with splitters. The technology's there. I'm really interested to see how they're going to implement sound for Nemesis. I bet you Nemesis is going to be able to listen for gunfire, and if barrels are returning, you exploding barrels and such, it would be interesting to see, how Nemesis is exactly going to track you down. Will he use enemies? Like if you engage a hunter and he screeches, will Nemesis pick up on that? Even if you're just running away, will he be able to hear your footsteps? Will he stop and listen like Mr. X did? Will he teleport around? Will he jump roof to roof? Is he a ninja? Confirmed.
Right.
There's so much that's going to go into this, and sound will play a crucial role, just as they said in the magazine, for both player and Nemesis. Because, think about being a player walking around the city, kind of like we touched on in the last video, how there's like danger around every corner.
And Nemesis is more audible. Like, he actually says something. Like,
Yeah.
Mr. X, you just get footsteps, and that's it. And that kind
Mr.
of
X
blend in
never
with the
says
sound.
anything, and he never moans or grunts or anything.
With Nemesis, it's like you're going to be hearing that throughout the streets with it raining or zombie. Like, you're going to hear that, and that's going to be scary. Like, it's going to be
Very
threatening.
scary. He grumbles, he roars.
Yeah,
He says stars.
I'm all for that. I'm all for that idea, because now you could do so much more with the sound design versus, 2019 or 2020 versus 1999. That
And
difference,
98, yeah,
that
20-year
that
difference.
gap. It's like they're able to do so much more. And I'm very excited to see that. I'm very excited to hear it as well. And how they actually have him track Jill is something we still want to see.
Yeah.
How he implements that. Like I said, maybe the next trailer we'll see something on Nemesis. We'll maybe see how he operates, or they might still keep him kind of,
it might just be
hidden.
Carlos.
Or it might just be a Carlos thing, But hopefully we'll see how they do that. Only time will tell.
Yeah. Speaking of Carlos is confirmed to be playable, which should have been no surprise.
Right. We expected to play as Carlos. We didn't
yeah.
want him to get cut in any way or cut down in any way.
Yeah. Will he be playable as opposed to just having a little section, though? Will he have his own campaign? Because now that fire is resparked.
Right.
It's one of those things. Will he have his own campaign, or will he have a giant section of the game?
Right.
We
do know, we're guessing that Jill gets infected and goes down at some points where she can't actually even stand up. So if Carlos is taking the wheel for a little bit, how long is that section going to be drawn out? The hospital section being in between the clock tower, I wonder how they're going to do that, and how far Carlos has to go with that, because like we're seeing him in the trailer like go to the RPD station first. So
Yeah.
I wonder like where in the time, like where that starts and where we actually get to play him. Like we might play him before Jill even gets infected. Like it might just be telling another side of the story necessary to progress things, and between how he interacts with Jill up until that point. So
this is something we
hope to see
haven't really
more
speculated on, but what if you open up with Carlos?
Right.
What if the game starts with Carlos and Tyrell Patrick going to
They go to the police station before Jill even goes there.
Before Jill even escapes her apartment.
And they kind of have to deal with some of the leftover
You know?
chaos that's in there, while she's still making her way out of her apartment.
What if they get there and they have a standoff with Marvin? And Marvin's like, "We don't want your kind around here. Like, get out of here."
Right.
And it's kind of like, what if they do that? What if he's like, what if they run into Marvin and Marvin's like, "Get out of here," and they're like, "We're here to evacuate you," and he's just like, "Do you see what happened to me? Like, I'm not getting out of here. Go."
Right. Yeah. And
Like,
that's why he's
leave.
there.
Get the hell out of here. And because Marvin, when Leon eventually gets there in Remake 2, he seems like obviously exhausted because of everything he's been through, but he doesn't seem surprised that there's a person that he hasn't seen yet. So maybe he's met them. Maybe he meets a lot of them. Maybe he's going to talk to Jill too.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because Jill sees him on the floor. Maybe she sees him on the floor and she's like, "Oh my God, Marvin, are you okay?" And he's just like, "Leave."
Yeah. He just always tells people to leave. Leave.
He's like, "Leave. My name's Will Smith. I gotta go to the Fresh Prince set.
I gotta leave this place.
Yeah.
Fuck this place."
But I'm really interested to see. Obviously Carlos was seen in the new renders that came out.
There was new renders that were posted online.
There's plenty of renders online. There's plenty of Carlos online. Not as much as Jill, but there's enough to where we see different, attachments.
Still no bio yet on the
his
website.
weapons. Yeah, no bio on his website.
But yeah, attachment on there. That's cool.
So it definitely confirms he's probably going to have a longer. I mean, they're not going to give him attachments and stuff if he only plays a little role.
Right.
Like that wouldn't really make sense.
No.
So if those attachments are in the game and Carlos is going to be using those attachments in the game, he probably either has his own campaign or he has it's a titter-tatter, like I said.
Right.
I predicted where it's going to go Jill Carlos, Jill Carlos, Jill Carlos all the way through the game.
Here's an interesting thing, though, theory that I'll throw out there. What if we get some cuts on Jill's end to kind of fill in more of Carlos? What if they did that? Where, like, some of the traditional stuff that would normally be in Jill's, they sacrifice some of her bits, wherever it falls, for some more Carlos. I mean,
it's incredibly possible at this point, especially if Carlos is going to have his own campaign. I wouldn't
rule it out.
I wouldn't rule it out either. It's a reimagining. So they have everything has stressed towards them wanting to go more into character development and less into fast-paced action, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want to go more into character development because, honestly, you don't know a lot about the characters of Resident Evil 3. You never see Carlos again. You most people, if you asked, if you lined a city with Resident Evil fans and asked them on the street if you fucking, who lived and who died in the game, they probably couldn't tell you. They probably couldn't even tell you. Like half of them would say that Nikolai's dead, and half of them would say no, he got away, because only 60% of them have actually seen Survivor. Only 15% of them have played it and seen the file. So like no, there's 100% confusion in the fandom about like what actually happens in Resident Evil 3, other than the staples. Jill escapes. Jill gets she gets infected. She gets cured by Carlos. They kill the Nemesis. Barry picks her up and they leave.
And
Like-
Raccoon City
And Raccoon City is
explodes.
sterilized. Yeah, it explodes. So, like, even me and Dustin were talking about this the other day. Even in different depictions in the series, some of them say it was a missile. Some of them say it was a nuke. Some of them say it was multiple missiles. And then in Resident Evil 4, they just say it's sterilized, and then they show the one missile from 3. Like it's really weird that they haven't really confirmed how exactly Raccoon City goes down. But this is their chance.
Well, yeah, it's one ending.
One
and
ending.
That's a big thing, because that was our problem with 2, is they still didn't make it one consistent thing.
Story. Yeah.
And
That was my
biggest
biggest problem with
Yeah,
2.
it's like, how are they going to do it? How are they really going to, work the ending? How are they going to work Nikolai in there? If Barry's even going to be mentioned. Little things like that, But Carlos holding more weight in the story would be
a
great.
good thing. Yeah, he would be a good thing because
and him like having more of an impact on the escape.
yeah, there's already a dynamic. Because think about it, in the first iteration, we'll start calling them vanilla RE3. So vanilla RE3, right? The plain flavor, the way that it's presented to you. Carlos and the rest of the UBCS, you don't know how Carlos gets along with them people. Like you don't care. Like you don't get the feeling that he's friends with Murphy, and then he's friends with Tyrell Patrick, and he's friends with I don't know why I keep saying Tyrell
The
Patrick,
magazine also shows all those characters you just mentioned.
Yeah.
They confirm them by screenshot and by everything.
Yeah.
Those are the confirmed
Those are the
people.
characters, yeah.
Right.
they don't show you. But what's the scene that we got in the trailer? We get Carlos and Tyrell next to each other, going into the RPD. Interestingly enough, going down where Brad's picture is, instead of into the front doors. So, it's kind of interesting to think like that's padlocked over there. Do you
Right.
think maybe they padlock it? There's a ton of things that could possibly be happening. Chief Irons is creeping around the police station at this point too.
Yes,
So like,
yeah.
are they going to have a run-in with the chief? Are they going to have a run-in with Marvin? Edward's there.
Yeah, Edward's there. Yeah.
Edward's there. So, or Elliot. I mean, sorry. Elliot's there. There's too many Edwards and Elliots.
Edward Elliot.
Elliot's there. Elliot was right. You know what I mean? Like he's got his little notebook. He's running around. Is Carlos going to aid them in escaping? Why are they trying to escape if Carlos went to the RPD and was like, hey, we're going to escort you out? There's so many unanswered questions.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't they have just left? Where's Rita? Where's the Outbreak cast? Like, where are they at? Did they escape? Did the UBCS get them out? Like, did they escape them? Are they even going there to rescue survivors? Are they going there for Dr. Bart? They could just be going there for Dr. Bart.
Yeah.
Like, their Dr. Bart's on their map, so who is Dr.
Which we
Bart?
haven't seen anything more of up until this point.
Yeah, not in the magazines or anything.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It just
They
says
haven't
there's a
talked about
circle. Like, he's there. Why are we going for him? They don't want the world to know. Well, what did they want the world to know? And Carlos doesn't seem to have any clue of what's going on with Jill. So, it's funny. Carlos, being playable is like the biggest talking point, despite Nemesis being the focal point of kind of like this news update. It really is. What are they going to do with Carlos? Because everything hinges on him. Is Carlos the slower pace to give players the break from Nemesis?
Yeah.
Because he's not being chased.
Right. He's just dealing with BOWs and zombies, and that's it.
Yeah. What happens when Carlos comes across Nemesis? What if he comes across Nemesis and Nemesis just walks right by him, like anime flexes on him?
Right.
Like he's just like frozen in fear and Nemesis just walks by and goes, "You ain't stars, bitch," and then just leaves him.
Well, it'd be better if it's type 2, because then he would just fuck him up like even more. Like it'd be more initiative to like, all right, he's definitely gonna attack me now.
Yeah.
I wonder how they're gonna do that.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then leading into all of the story talk, our next thing, no live selection,
Yeah.
action choice mechanism, which is stupid. It's a really weird way that they've worded that, because it was
action
called
choice mechanism.
it was called live selection. So they could have just said there's no live selection, but that's what I guess he
Yeah.
derped it out.
Yeah,
He
I
derped
mean,
out when he was writing the interview.
It's
To be expected.
it's. I'm not too surprised. I wish they would have kept it to some degree. In my
Well,
opinion.
maybe they will, like bake it in, like me and you were talking about,
right.
like to where it feels like you have choices, but they don't present them like choices.
Yeah, I hope so because it just gave us some unique things that made it stand out from Resident Evil 2.
Well, the cool thing about this too, remember when we talked about in one of the videos that we did about essentials,
Yeah.
and we talked about how it could be in the objective screen.
Right.
This statement does not deconfirm that.
It doesn't.
Because that's not necessarily selecting a choice on the screen manually. That's why you have to be careful with these interviews, because they could literally put it. They also
Really got to dissect them.
And I just want to preface this, which should have been prefaced in the first video. They also went on record in an interview and said there was going to be no A/B system. Just keep that in mind.
I know that they have a lot of this stuff already done, so them thinking that there's going to be any kind of like add-ons or stuff that we haven't seen up to this point. It seems like a lot of this stuff seems to be more final because the game, there really isn't that much more that's happening until we actually get more. But 90%, no delay, so that's a good thing. But this is the other thing that I was looking for is Resident Evil 3 Remake will mix things up even more than Resident Evil 2 in regards to what it changes from the original.
Yes.
And that was the main thing is I think this will be the most change we'll see. That's really the main point that I wanted to say is that I think with how Resident Evil 2 changed, this is going to change it even more. It's going to be more of a mix up and a different way with how they reimagine it. So I'm going to keep an open mind with that, and I'm not upset about that because it's their vision for this kind of way of doing it, So I'm really looking forward to that, and hopefully they'll do everything they need to get it right and make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's important that they change what's needed to be changed. I kind of was talking in the Discord community earlier today about some of my problems with the original 3 and some of the things that, Remake 2 did. In some ways, I actually think, not to get on a tangent, but Resident Evil Remake is such a good remake that it kind of completely replaces the original game. We play the original game pretty much at this point for a meme. We play it as a joke. It's funny voice acting. It's not remake. Remake is the essential remake. Where Resident Evil 2 Remake succeeds is that it doesn't completely cut off and replace the original game. The original game is still fun. We were just playing it the other day. We can still get through it. There's still things that are different. It's different. It's a reimagining, like they said. It's so much different than the first game that it feels like they both coexist. Whereas every single thing in the original game was literally absorbed into Remake. Remake 2 kind of has everything, but it's all differently presented. I feel like Remake 3 is going to do the same thing, where it's going to reimagine and bring most of the things over from the original game. But the original 3 will still be there. It will still be intact. Now, obviously, some people are going to be like, no, I still play the original Resident Evil because blah, 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 blah. You honestly just play it for the joke. Like, if you want the Resident Evil experience, you're playing Remake. I don't think anybody here would say the original is better than Remake.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's
it's
fair.
not.
I
It's
think
not like that.
People, I would say like it's not so much. It's just played for a meme. I mean, it is kind of it is funny, but I think some people appreciate the charm of what the original brings and kind of like how it's presented, and I think people find joy in that, which is why because people will ask, well, why do you guys play 2 and 3? Because it's kind of like 1. With how, I mean, obviously there's differences, but
The big differences.
there's big differences, but at the same time, like, it's still how it's presented. Like, most modern people that might just pick up and play Remake, they might not even care about any of that stuff, to begin
Well,
with.
the
So,
kind of the way that I look at it is like with the original game, if I was showing a friend the series for the first time, I would have them play Remake.
oh yeah, 100%.
If I was
Yeah.
showing my friend the game for the first time, I would actually have them play the original 2 before I'd have them play Remake. Because the remake of 2 expands upon the experience that was delivered in 2 in a way that is very charming and very immersive. It's like, this is the original. I still think Resident Evil 2 is like the series highlight in terms of pacing.
It throws you right in the 90s.
Exactly.
It really puts you back again how it's presented. Like,
And 3
especially
is
if you
just
play
as
it-
good.
Yeah,
A lot of people think I have like a stigma that I think 3 is bad. I'm not saying it's bad. All of the games have flaws. I think 2 has the least amount of flaws. Other than the story, which is the hugest thing, because it's my most important thing in the game. I'm not saying Resident Evil 1 doesn't exist, because obviously me and you play it all the time. We literally play that shit all the time. But I think the original 3 is going to be intact at the end of the day as its own separate game instead of being completely absorbed by 3-make. Now, I said in the Discord earlier, what I think will happen is that the acting and the way the story is presented is going to be so much better than the original game that for me individually, as a story, it's going to replace the third game. When I play 3, I'm probably going to play this one. When I play 2, you know it because you've seen it. I'll fucking pick up either of them and play them. Like, I love them both equally. For me, which you'll be the same way with 3, I'm sure. But with me, when I play a game, when I pick up 3 and I'm like, I'm going to play 3, I'll probably play 3-make before I'll play the original. Now, tentatively, if the game shit and bombs, then 3 is going to be my go-to because 3 is the way the story is supposed to be presented. I also think that the reason why 2 has that split where Remake and Vanilla are both their own thing is because 2 didn't fix the story inconsistencies. If 2 would have fixed the story inconsistencies, I would probably say that 2 is also replaced. And when I say replaced, that's a very harsh word. I know people are like, nothing can replace the originals. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is like, what you're going to show somebody when you're showing them the series for the first time, which is not going to happen a lot. You're not going to be me and you are not going to be introducing people.
that's true, and everyone will have their opinion as to what they
everybody's
wanna
gonna have
show
their opinion.
friend, because their friend might like PS1 games and might prefer
Dude, you
the first
literally
Resident Evil over Remake.
you literally could show somebody every Resident Evil game, and their favorite could be 7. Like, it could happen. Everybody's different.
6.
6, exactly. I still think 6 is a better game than 5. That's my personal opinion. I'm not crazy about it, but I still think 6 is better than 5. It's a better experience. It's a more well presented story, in my opinion. Half of the people that watch this video are going to disagree with that. I'm not saying 5 and 6 are great. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying I think 6 is better than 5. I think 2 is better than 3. I think they're all better than the original. Like, they're all except for Survivor and Umbrella Corps. But we don't talk about that. I'm really excited because, going into this April, going into this remake, I don't know what to expect. But I expect that by the end of this, we're going to get a really solid 10 out of 10 Resident Evil experience. And for me, I'm 100% positive and hopeful that this is going to fix all the issues I have with the original game. And that might just put it in my top 3. Because I love 3. I love it. I love it despite what everybody says, despite what everybody thinks I feel about it. I absolutely love 3. But I know where its flaws are. I can look at it objectively and see you can't blame 3 for the problems I have with it because 3 was never meant to be the game. It was always supposed to be something different until like the last couple of months. It had things going against it that the other games didn't from development. It got canned, brought back, which 7 also did, you know, and like, which I'm not comparing 3 to 7 in any way in terms of quality.
Yeah, I mean, it's
just one of those things, man, where I'm super excited because come April, we might be playing the best Resident Evil game ever made.
Yeah.
Like the best experience, like the definitive, this is the way of the future. Stop making first-person Resident Evil, Capcom.
Yeah.
I know you're going to do it, but stop it.
Right.
You know, make it like this, because what did 2 do for 3? It set up success. 2 was the best fucking hottest slice of pizza on the market. When 2 came out, it was literally on everybody's top 10 list. When you were handed that torch and told to go run with it, 3 did it. 3 introduced the dodge mechanic. 3 introduced, which is our next point, introduced live selection. They introduced a stalker, a pursuer that that could actually like learn and run and dodge and grab you. They introduced so many things that 2 didn't have because of technical limitations. They had more time and flexibility that they could do. The only thing they left behind is the story. Like they didn't have as much detail and depth and character development as the second game did, which is an ongoing debate about action. You know, the series slowly gets more action over time.
Yeah.
Right now is the time that they can take what they were given from 2 make and literally make the perfect game.
Yeah.
And I feel confident that no matter what gets cut, no matter what gets added, if the story is there and the characters are there, dude, this game is going to be fucking incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it is. I mean, at this point, you know, it's looking like it's going to be. I don't think there should be anything that might alter that unless, you know, there's some serious issues like mechanically or
Brad dies to zombies.
Yeah, just something like stupid. Like if you know, like it just depends on what they do, because if I don't feel like it represents it in the best way, then you know, it's going to show right when I'm playing it. But if I play it and I pick it up and I feel, you know, like it fits, you know, like just like how Resident Evil 2 fit when we played it for the first time. So I think, you know, it'll either work right away or it won't work right away, and hopefully it's not, you know, a rushed job. It doesn't feel rushed. Because it's just like when you watch like a movie or something, it's like you can tell when stuff's like rushed sometimes.
Yeah, pacing.
And for me personally, like I didn't feel that when I played the original Resident Evil 3, even though you do get a sense that, you know, it definitely was change, like a lot of change was happening. Well, hopefully with this one, it really lines everything up properly, and they know that this is like the only time that they're gonna get a chance to do something like this, which is why, you know, the main issue we had with Resident Evil 2 is the you know, the A-B, like it not being one consistent ending, and that's the one chance they had to
fix that. Yeah.
And, you know, hopefully any chances that they want to make or changes that they want to make via mechanics or character-wise, and this new Jill Valentine, because she's so near and dear to the fans, just like how Leon is and Claire.
And Chris, almost like the
Chris.
Series is revolving around those 4 main characters.
Yeah, it really depends on how they end up wanting to take that, and I think it's like people really want them to do it right, and I think that's why people are really focused on. I think that's why the characters are so important in Resident Evil, and why they carry a lot of weight. And when they do them right, you know, when they give them really good mocap, they give them really good actors, they have great designs from the amazing people that do all the work. And
this game's going to be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like.
It's going to be incredible.
The hands that are on this game, I don't think that, because it has this weird stigma about it being rushed because it's coming out in 2 months.
outsourced
And stuff like that, and like whether some of that is you know, true to get it done in time, and it was being made alongside Resident Evil 2. We know this, but
just like the original.
Yeah, so it's like,
but the difference is, back then it wasn't supposed to be what it was.
Right.
But this time it was supposed to be what it was.
Yeah, they're like, hey, if we're gonna remake 2, we got to do 3.
Yeah, and if they're gonna do 3,
trilogy.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason why I think this game's gonna be so great, because the concept of 3 is 10 out of 10.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Execution-wise, back then, I'm of the opinion they needed more. Just like Code Veronica, they needed more. They didn't have time, which is fine. It's still in my top 50 games of all time. It's still probably in my top 25 games of all time. I fucking love it. But now, this is going to tell. Like, this is going to be the time. Like, they have all the fruits and labor and effort put into this game. I highly, highly, highly expect them to deliver, and I think they're going to.
Yeah.
And me and you have been remaining positive this entire time about Resistance.
We have been. We've been really excited.
About
We've been sharing the excitement. We've been talking to
Super
you guys
excited.
every day about the excitement. I think, I think the past 2 and 3,
I
Resident
can't
Evil 2
wait
and
to get
3,
shirts.
No, I can't wait. I can't wait to
RE3.
see the merch. Like, I
Yeah.
want to see a merch line roll out of all this stuff. Someone keep us in the loop with that. But yeah, I mean, like, just sharing the excitement, like around the Resident Evil 2 and 3 promotional cycles, if you will, between games and before and after and in between. They've been so positive, more positive than ever. With 7, there was a lot of like negativity and positive because of the overall game.
Yeah,
But
it
with,
was
like, 2,
completely split.
right. With 2, it's like everyone
Both
loved
sides. Loved
right.
it.
Yeah. So with this, it's like you read the comment section, and a lot of people like would talk, like, some people still bring up when, like, back in the day on the show when, like, me and Richard would do like the funny comment section and stuff, because there was a lot of people like bashing on the series. But I remember, like, when we tried to recently do that with Resident Evil 2 comments, it was so hard because, like, everything was positive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was so hard
Everything
to
was
find the
positive.
negativity. Like, back in the day when we used to do that stuff, that was during the darker days of the series. So it's a complete different contrast. There was a reason why we did it back then, but now it's like everything's more positive, which is great.
It's hard
Like,
to have debates too because there's so many different layers to Resident Evil. There's horror evil, there's action evil, there's horror action evil, there's 7, which is a monster.
yeah,
And then, like, if you talk about the way that you think something should be, somebody's going to throw something in your face about something else. For example, we were talking earlier about, characters and stuff like that in the Discord, and you have Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, which is what I'm talking about. Then Subject B brings up something that counteracts my point, but is talking about 5. But 5 isn't what I think of when I think of Resident Evil. And there's so many dynamics to even talking, like, casually with somebody about what they love in the game, what they don't love. Somebody might be like, I fucking love Chris Redfield, but I fucking hate Resident Evil 5. How do you punch boulders? You know what I mean? And then you go back and you're like, well, I love Chris Redfield because, he got to the root of the problem in the first game.
oh my god,
You know what I mean? And his jokes were so great. And then somebody's like, what jokes? I've only played Remake. And then somebody else is like, he looks like,
but that's
the ShamWow guy.
it's just like anything, man.
in 7.
It's just like people, it depends on how much.
Yeah, the
experience,
longer
they
a
played.
franchise, I say
It's
it's a
just
good
like
thing
anything.
because Resident Evil's been around this long.
Yeah,
Not a lot of franchises. Nintendo's pretty much the only company that has a multi franchises that's been around this long.
right.
But like for Capcom, they have a lot of series that have been around for a long time. They have a lot of series that didn't make it. Dino Crisis is not still around.
R.I.P.
Hopefully it will be, but it's not still around. And for Resident Evil to push through all this time, despite our personal feelings, it means it's been successful. Whether it's been successful in our eyes or your eyes doesn't matter. If it's been successful, it's been successful. No matter what we say about 7, no matter what our personal opinions are, it fucking sold. Remake 2 outsold it, but it sold.
It's sold. Yeah,
Remake 2 outsold it, and I think it only did because of 7. Because the people who bought 7 bought 2.
I don't think Remake 2 outsold 7 yet, but I think it's going to, because
Yeah,
7
it's like
has
on
been
pace.
out longer.
Yeah, it's on pace.
Because 2 recently reached 5 million, so it's
Yeah.
climbing. It didn't exactly reach 7.
And it's on sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll see. The dodge mechanic, though, that is really like the last thing that we have here.
Yeah, which it's returning.
Which we kind of saw,
We saw.
in the preview that we broke down as well. And they joked that it was cheating, that people already know that it's in the game, but they've adjusted it to fit a better style in the game. So they haven't actually confirmed it, but they basically did. So
Yeah.
dodging mechanic is going to be implemented somehow for Jill Valentine through Nemesis. But that's everything that we have on the docket. That is everything they covered in the official PlayStation Magazine. Of course, we'll keep everyone updated as to what comes out. If there's more information, more video game magazines that might cover Resident Evil 3 and its weeks of release. The promotion cycle seems to be happening. So, yeah, let's get ready, guys. Let's get in full gear and we'll keep
Yeah,
you guys
absolutely.
updated every step of the way.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for watching. Until next time.